I found out my wife could never have kids. She hid it from me for years. I've been married to my wife for almost 6 years. We met young, fell in love quickly, and talked about starting a family early on. Having kids was something I always dreamed about, and I thought she felt the same throughout our marriage. She always seemed supportive of the idea, but there was never any urgency or concrete plans. I never suspected anything was wrong until recently. About 2 months ago, I accidentally came across some medical documents she left open on our shared computer. My heart stopped when I read that she had been diagnosed with infertility years before we got married. She never told me. Never mentioned it once. Even though we had countless conversations about having children, I felt like the ground had been pulled from beneath me. I couldn't believe she'd kept such a huge secret. When I confronted her, she broke down and admitted she was scared to tell me, afraid I would leave or resent her. She said she didn't want to disappoint me or change how I saw our future, but I felt betrayed, like my entire marriage had been built on a lie. How could she hide something so important? How could she expect me to just accept this without being told? We argued for days. I told her that honesty was the foundation of any relationship, and this felt like the ultimate betrayal. She apologized repeatedly, saying she loved me and hoped we could find other ways to have a family, adoption, surrogacy, whatever it took, but I couldn't get past the fact that she never trusted me enough to be honest from the start. I felt like I was living with a stranger. My friends and family told me to leave, that trust was broken beyond repair, but I was torn. I loved her deeply, and I wanted to believe we could get through this. I didn't know if I could forgive her or if I should walk away before it hurt anymore. Since then, our relationship has been strained. We try to talk, but the shadow of this secret hangs over everything. I'm scared of what the future holds, and I don't know if I can rebuild what was lost. Since the day I found out, everything between us has felt different. The trust that once felt unbreakable now seems fragile and uncertain. I keep replaying the moment I discovered the medical documents, wondering how long she planned to keep this from me. She tells me she was terrified of my reaction and didn't want to lose me, but to me, it feels like a betrayal that cuts deeper than any fear could justify. We've tried to have calm conversations about it, but they often end in frustration or silence. I want to understand her reasons, but I also need her to understand how deeply hurt I am. I feel like I'm grieving the future we thought we had, the family we dreamed of building together, and that grief makes it hard to move past the anger and disappointment. I question everything, our memories, her promises, even my own feelings. She suggested we explore other options like adoption or surrogacy, and while I appreciate her willingness to find a way forward, the trust between us feels broken. I find myself pulling away emotionally. Afraid to get close because I'm scared of more secrets. I'm not sure if our relationship can survive this or if it's already too damaged. My friends and family are divided, some telling me to leave immediately, saying that trust once broken can never be fully restored, others encouraging me to fight for our love, reminding me that no relationship is perfect and sometimes forgiveness and patience are necessary. Their opinions only add to my confusion. I want to do what's right for me, but I don't know what that is anymore. In quiet moments, I wonder if I'm being selfish for wanting honesty above all else. Should I have been more understanding of her fears? But then I remind myself that honesty is the foundation of any relationship, and without it, there's nothing to build on. Moving forward will require both of us to be completely open and vulnerable, which feels daunting but necessary. Despite the pain, I still love her, and that love makes the choice harder. I'm caught between holding on to hope and protecting my heart. Every day is a struggle to balance forgiveness with self-preservation. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do both, but I know I have to try. We decided to try couples therapy to help us navigate the difficult emotions and rebuild trust. The sessions were intense and emotionally draining, filled with tears, silence, and difficult conversations. The therapist helped us understand not just the secret itself but the fears and insecurities that led to it. It became clear that her fear of rejection had kept her silent, and my fear of betrayal made me shut down emotionally. Therapy didn't fix everything overnight, but it gave us tools to communicate more openly and honestly. We set small goals, like sharing one honest thought each day and checking in on how we were feeling. It was exhausting and sometimes felt like progress was slow, but gradually the walls between us started to come down. I learned to express my needs more clearly, and she learned to listen without becoming defensive. We began talking about our future with more realism, acknowledging that biological children might not be possible, but exploring other ways to build a family. Adoption and surrogacy started to feel like hopeful options rather than just backups. We even began researching together, which brought a small spark of excitement back into our relationship. Despite progress, the pain of the secret still lingered. I sometimes caught myself doubting her words or feeling jealous of the family life I had imagined with someone else. I had to remind myself that healing takes time and trust isn't rebuilt overnight. She was patient but sometimes frustrated, wanting to move past the issue quickly, but I needed space to grieve what was lost before I could fully embrace what was possible. Friends noticed changes in me. Some said I looked more hopeful, others worried I was still hurting too much. I realized healing wasn't just about our relationship but also about finding peace within myself. I started journaling and spending time with supportive people who reminded me of my worth beyond being her husband. I also explored new hobbies and goals to rebuild my identity outside of the marriage. Though the road ahead was long and uncertain, I felt a cautious optimism. I knew there would be challenges, but for the first time in months, I believed we might have a future worth fighting for, one built on honesty, respect, and a deeper understanding of each other's fears and hopes. As time passed, my wife and I continued to work on our relationship. The initial shock and anger began to soften, replaced by a cautious hope. We made a pact to always be honest moving forward, no matter how difficult the truth might be. This commitment wasn't easy, and there were moments when old wounds reopened and doubts crept back in, but we faced them together, talking openly instead of letting resentment build. We started planning for the future with a new perspective, exploring adoption and surrogacy options, researching what it would mean emotionally, financially, and practically. It was daunting but also brought us closer, giving us a shared goal to focus on. I appreciated how she took responsibility and showed genuine effort to make things right. It made me realize that while the past couldn't be changed, the future was still ours to shape. Our families were supportive in different ways. Some were skeptical and worried about the strain the secret had caused. Others encouraged us to keep fighting for our love. Their opinions mattered, but ultimately it was our decision to make. We learned to set boundaries with those who were negative or judgmental. Protecting our relationship from outside pressure became a priority. I still struggled with moments of insecurity and fear, wondering if I could ever fully trust her again, but she was patient and consistent, showing up every day and proving through actions that she was committed to us. We celebrated small victories, like a weekend getaway without any arguments or a heartfelt conversation about our feelings. These moments reminded me why I fell in love with her in the first place. Looking back, I realize how much we both grew through this ordeal. It tested us in ways I never imagined, but it also taught us about resilience, forgiveness, and the power of vulnerability. Our relationship isn't perfect, and I know there will be challenges ahead, but I feel hopeful and stronger because we faced the hardest truth and chose to move forward together.